Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you here. And little surprise, I guess. Shoutouts to Kirdan. Oh no, I hear myself twice. Why is that, chat? Confuses me. Shoutouts to Modo and Silmarillion. Welcome, everyone. I might be, catch a lot of people by surprise to just, putting a stream up this late in the evening without announcing it before. It's a bit unfortunate, I think, but whatever. I thought now is the time to stream, and I didn't do this in a long time, I just noticed, though I streamed a lot in the past couple of weeks, so I'm a bit sorry for being a bit inactive here on this channel. To be honest, I was a bit inactive on this channel for quite some time, I feel. But I can't believe that the Hobbit watch parties was so long ago already. But the time just is running forward a lot, and currently still putting a lot of energy into some other projects at the side, or that moved a little bit further into the focus. However, I thought I need to stream at some point here again, and recently, so shoutouts, I think it was a Witch King on the Discord server. He posted an artwork on my Discord server, and this now, of course, puts me into dangerous or more complicated territory, because I don't have permission to use the artwork, but I think since we will discuss this artwork in particular, we might have an excuse to use it when it comes to fair use and stuff. So I'm very curious how this will work out. Let's hope it will work out. I guess it's too late, Kirdan, for you being here long, but I think you're an hour back, so you at least have some time left. For me, it's also very late. But yeah, shoutouts to all the people here in chat, to the supporters. Nice to see you here. And I thought we'd talk a little bit about lore. So if you have any lore questions specifically, feel free to ask those, or if you have a topic that you might want to discuss, feel free to post that in chat. And then we will definitely, or can definitely, look into all of this. But it's time again for a bit of Tolkien stuff, and that is always fun and interesting. As I said, we got this artwork, and this artwork depicts a lot of elves. Happy you are back doing these. Yeah, I'm also kind of like, I simply lost track of the time, the Bionicle fan. Simply, I don't know why. It's just, for me, it's still January in my head. Something. It's just the past weeks went past so fast. It's kind of incredible. But it's what it is. I try to be more active here on the channel as well, but struggling currently a little bit with it. However, now we are here, and of course, I plan to do. I always say this more frequently, but we did with watch parties. We definitely did at least some streams in past months, so there's that. With the Hobbit watch parties, and before that the Lord of the Rings watch parties, we definitely had several long streams here in the past couple of months here on this channel, so it's not like nothing happened ever. But it's also that I have some stuff here. I guess like I said, I potentially caught a lot of people by surprise. So nice. Asteroid TV is also here. Welcome. Yeah, nice to see you all here as well. I was a bit worried that maybe people are so surprised to see me online here that I'm sitting here with two people in chat or something. It would be maybe a bit problematic depending on how active those two people would be. But the title or the thumbnail already kind of has it going. We can look into this thing, and the idea is basically there's a cool artwork by an artist which name I don't actually know how to pronounce. It's the link to his site is written down there. I'm not even 100% sure from which country he is. Could be Japan, but I'm not 100% sure. And you potentially people on the Discord probably know about this. I showed you to you in a moment, because now I'm curious if I can get any info on this in particular. Let me just see. No, it could be a Chinese artist. Interestingly, it's a bit difficult as not Japanese Chinese speaker to differentiate those symbols always. But it could be a Chinese artist. And At least, yeah, the site I will. It's linked in the description, so if people want to look at it more closely, it's that I got it from Twitter because I didn't find it on this particular account, but on the bottom there's a little URL that potentially, I suppose, is there to show us who made this, and considering the art style and what the artist is doing as well, it might be what he's it might fitting to what he's doing otherwise, but who knows? Maybe he's also collecting from other artworks from other people. I don't exactly know who made this artwork, so it's just speculation at this point, but whatever, I still found it interesting and worth maybe discussing it. So I will show it to you in a moment, and maybe I hope people in chat are in the good guessing mood. So the artwork depicts a lot of important, I would say, Silmarillion elves. And yeah, I already made my guess on the Discord who these elves are, but I found it very funny to do this maybe on stream and discuss it a little bit, and maybe look at some quotes and stuff to figure out this exactly. So yeah, I just will show you the artwork. It is this beautiful artwork. I find it very cute, to be honest, very nice. Definitely a different style from what we usually see. Like I said, I can post you the link from that is down there in chat, so people know where it's from. That is the link. You see there are some other works there. I'm not sure. They kind of have some similar, distantly similar styles. So I assume he is the artist, but I don't know exactly, or she. I can't even tell if it's a man or a woman, but maybe somebody knows Chinese and can help us out there. I'm 100% sure. Exactly. We already can look at the hair. It's definitely potentially a free interpretation, but that is where I got the artwork from. I also have like this link. It's in the description as well, if you want to have a bigger version of this particular image. And let me just see where it is. No, it's here, the picture thing. Maybe I make it a bit bigger, so we zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. And yeah, the question is now, who are these elves? I've thought it would be funny to do this in stream, just guessing the elves. So yeah, J.R.R. already says 2 are quite easy. And I think the left side is also relatively easy. So there's an interesting detail in it, which we might discuss in a moment. So yeah, I'm very curious what you people think. So yeah, maybe we start in the middle because that's the obvious and the easiest one. Do I have an arrow here? Let me just see, chat, arrows. Here would be an arrow. So I can use the arrow here to help us out a little bit. So yeah, let's discuss this particular picture. I would start in the middle, so here. So this is fairly obvious. I assume we have our first guess by... I mean, J.R.R. knows the lore too well to not know. Silmarillion also has some guess. So it could be Thingol and Melian on top. That's an interesting guess, though, to be honest. Never thought it from this perspective, though I definitely think I just got into Lord of the Rings. Okay, if you just got into Lord of the Rings, and with Lord of the Rings you mean the book Lord of the Rings, or maybe the films or so, this will be very difficult for you to understand, because most people here you see, you won't find in Lord of the Rings. Out of my head, you might know one for sure. The names of 3 here you should definitely know from, you could know from Lord of the Rings. Yeah, we're currently here in the middle. Let me just maybe show you the arrow again. It's a bit complicated to switch this around. So who could this guy be? The person in the middle and the woman to his right. That's potentially where we start, chat. I mean, I already read the answer I would give from Kirdan, to be honest. But I don't know if chat is even in the mood of guessing stuff here. By the way, if you just don't want to guess and just want to ask a lore question or so, I watch movies. That's it. I've been watching lore videos now. Ah, cool. I mean, depending on what lore videos you're watching, Christmas Ham, you you definitely could know more elves than that, to be honest. So it definitely depends how deep you already dig yourself into the Lord of the Rings universe in this regard. By the way, if you just have normal questions about anything Tolkien lore related, feel free to ask those as well. I just thought it would be a funny little chat interaction mini thing to do at the beginning of the stream. I also won't stream that long today because I always say that. Who knows? So not that long, could be 4 hours, it could be 2 hours, it could be 3 hours, but something along those lines. I thought it would be an interesting little starter to just look at this beautiful artwork and try to find out who all the elves are. So I don't know if anybody has some other guesses for the middle. You can also maybe give some arguments for the middle character. So RS already guessed it might be Thingol and Melian on top. I assume you mean the couple here in the middle at the top. What is your reasoning behind your assumption, if you want to look deeper into it? Also, I have to wait always a bit for chat delay and for people having to write this. Oh, the Witch Kings here. You know the answers already to Witch Kings, so I would ask to hold back a little bit until we get to the more juicier, more complicated guesses. But yeah, we're currently at the top, where we start. Well, I think it's the easiest to guess who the woman and the female and the male elf are. But very nice that you are also here. Okay, you only thought of them because, I mean, we have two beautiful looking elves. I can definitely see you think of Thingol and Melian. What would speak against Thingol and Melian would, I mean, you always have to think about it like this is an artist interpretation. Sometimes they don't have all the information, but if we just go by book, we have a pretty strong indicator already in the form of the hair colors. Of course, I know that not everybody knows out of his head the hair colors of every elf in the Silmarillion, and sometimes it's a bit complicated. Of course, I write it wrong. Okay, we have two sources for it. I just looked the sources up. We'll definitely look a bit in the Silmarillion tape. The one in white could be Galadriel. You mean? I assume this is the one in white, right? Yeah, that is, in my opinion, also a very good guess by you, Christmas Ham. I think, I mean, we also had the guess that maybe the young girl here might be Galadriel. Also an interesting guess. But yeah, I would kind of agree with you that this here is most likely Galadriel, though. But I'm jumping back to the man here. So if this would be Thingol is described in the Silmarillion as a person with silver hair. So let me just see. I forgot the stupid the chapter here. Princess. Where is it? It's of Eldamar. Here it is mentioned, I think, somewhere. Okay, I did terrible mistakes here. Okay, now I have to do this again because I'm bad at doing this. Let me see. Also, hope my search engine works. Okay. Why does it say it's here? Maybe he's called. I know why. I know my mistake. Why I'm not finding the passage. It's in chapter 4 of the Silmarillion. I should maybe search the correct elf. Okay, so Thingol is original Miss Elwe. I just searched for Thingol because I'm an idiot. But yeah, let me just read from the Silmarillion. His people gathered about him in joy when he returned with Melian. He was like lost for a long, long time and met Melian in the forest, and they were kind of fell in love and were trapped in this moment for like ages, for a very long time, for potentially hundreds of years. And when he came back to his people gathered about him in joy, and they were amazed, for fair and noble as he had been, now he appeared as it were a lord of the Maiar, and his hair as grey silver, tallest of all the children of Ilúvatar, and a high doom was before him. So, the Thingol would have silver hair, so we need potentially dark-haired person. Thingol is also the first king of the Sindar elves, and originally also kind of the first king of the Teleri. It's a complicated topic. I don't want to dive for now too deep into this, but yeah, there's another big elven clan that is known for their dark hair, kind of, and that would be the LotR. So I definitely, assuming this would go here for like my guess for this person is that it must be a LotR, and he's in the middle sitting on a throne. So going with one of the big 3 kings, or big 4 kings if you count also Olwe later on for the Teleri in Aman and so on, you could come to the conclusion that this might be the first king of the LotR, which would be Finwë. That would be absolutely my guess. Let me just see if I have a good artwork here. Potentially I have. Oh, that's a cool artwork. When did I show that off? Just look at my other stuff here that I did last stream, which was ages ago. Let me just look at Finwë artwork, if maybe I find one. We have one from Jenny Dolphin. There he also has dark hair. I just see which one is the right one I can use. This one here should be the right one. I also hope the stream and the sound is okay. Let me know if the sound is not okay or something, or not loud enough. Where do we have it? Yeah, so I assume this man here, it is Finwë, the first king of the LotR. That would be my first guess. And this kind of gives us already, if that is true, it gives us an idea who this woman next to him is. And it's kind of, she has a very remarking feature compared to a lot of the other elves here on the screen. She has golden hair in comparison. So in this regard, we kind of get a little confirmation that this must be the wife of Finwë then, and that would be Indis, the second wife of Finwë, I should say. The first wife of Finwë was Míriel, but she died after some time after she gave birth to his firstborn son, Feanor. And then Míriel basically laid down, and her spirit left her body and went to the halls of Mandos and did not want to come out. And then Finwë was allowed to marry again under the condition that Miriel stays in the halls of Mandos. So it's a very interesting story in this regard. And yeah, he married a woman named Indis. And Indis is interestingly not from the Noldor, which is different for Miriel, but she, I think, was a Noldor elf. But Indis is from the Vanyar elves, and the Vanyar elves are known for their golden hair. And this is kind of how the golden strain, the golden hair, came into the line of the Noldor elf, into Finwë's line. That we also see reflected in some of the other children we see here on the screen here, these dudes here. So that is a very interesting detail, for sure. Though there's some exception we will also later talk about, I guess, in this regard. But yeah, so and Kiernan already kind of spoiled it. He said, yeah, it's easy, it's Finwë and Indis, and that I would agree on. That is my guess here as well, that these two here are Finwë, Indis, second wife of Finwë. So let's go to the next, I would assume, easy ones. Let's take the next row, because it's kind of also distantly built up like a family tree. So, I just moved the image around. That was not intended. Whoops, no problem. So yeah, the next line would be the elf standing before Finwë. That would be this man here, this man here, and this man here. So any question? So I think the easiest one will be this guy. I hope chat is definitely in the guessing mood right now. Maybe not. I have the bad feeling that I'm holding here my monologue. I think that is a pretty easy guess. Just curious if chat wants to know. This is, I forgot, this elf is, this elf, I said at the beginning of the stream, I did a mistake. I said 3 elves are known if you read Lord of the Rings. 4 elves are known that if you read Lord of the Rings. Maybe even more. Okay, Ares Aurelian guess is Fëanor, and Tyler Brock says Fëanor, Fingolfin, and Finarfin. And yeah, I think it's a pretty obvious or easier one. So yeah, Ares Aurelian and Tyler, you are right. I would agree with you. That is pretty sure. It's pretty fitting. So we have Fëanor. Also, he has dark hair like his father. And I would assume also his mother, Miriel, that is interestingly not on the screen. Miriel Serinde. Let me just see. It says dark hair. Maybe I find. And it's only mid. Yeah, it will be tough to find, chat. I try to find the quote for it as well, for the hair color. We might talk a lot about hair color today. Let me just search it really quick. History of Middle-earth book. Where is it? What did they say? Morgoth's ring, right? Well, we might need Peoples, we might need War of the Jewels, and we might need Morgoth's ring. So let me just open the books really quick. Interesting. Tolkien Gate? No, Tolkien Gateway, that's right. I just read it wrong. So interestingly, Miriel's hair color was not dark. I said it wrong, but Miriel's hair color was silver. Miriel was the name of his mother. Silver was her hair and dark were her eyes. I just mixed this up in my head. But her hands were more skilled to finesse than any hands even of the Noldor. So, interestingly, she had silver hair. I forgot about that detail. I guess it makes sense that she's not present in the picture, given that she didn't leave Mandos until after Finwë dies. Exactly. So yeah, in this, from like, if we put this at a like snapshot, like a photograph in time, of course she's not like when Finwë is like you make a very good point. If Finwë is here with his children, Miriel can't be on the picture because she is in the hall of Mandos. Well, her body is not. The body is lying somewhere in Aman, but she's definitely not next to him. And yeah, later this changes. So if Miriel is on the picture and Finwë is not here on the picture, that's kind of makes sense. So it's an interesting point to make here in this context. But yeah, so this Feanor, this is the child between, for people wondering, so Feanor is the son of this man and another elf woman that on this picture with silver hair and dark eyes called Miriel, his first wife that died. And then he later married again. And now we come to this, to the right side. And here we have the first son of Finwë and Indis. That is Fingolfin. That is this man here. And next we have their second son. And this is an elf you can know from the... this is a different... an elf you can know from Lord of the Rings. This is Finarfin, as already was written here in chat. I think also by Tyler, yes. So, and he inherited the golden hair of his mother. And that is the reason, and I can read it from the Lord of the Rings to you if you want. Let me just see where Lord of the Rings is. Here on my screen. It's always a bit complicated. That's, I think, the prologue. So, different golden house. Where are we? Is this appendix? This should be appendix F, I think. They were a race high and beautiful, the older children of the world. Among them, the Eldar were as kings, and who are now gone. People of the great journey, the people of the stars. They were tall, fair of skins, and grey-eyed, though their locks were dark, safe in the golden house of Finarfin. And their voices had more melodies than any mortal voice that now is heard. There's a footnote for Finarfin. These words describing characters and of face and hair, in fact, applied only to the Noldor. See the Book of Lost Tales, Part 1. I'm not sure who made this note, but it's interesting. This is an interesting line in appendix. See you, Kierdan. Was nice having you here. You see, we get very slowly through this. There's a question about the dwarves by Adriel. We'll come to this in a moment. Let me just finish my thought here. And their voices had more... Yeah. So the Golden House of Finarfin. That's an interesting line, because if you look into the writing history of the Lord of the Rings book, in Appendix F, this line was originally safe in the Golden House of Fingolfin, of Finrod. Safe in the Golden House of Finrod. There was a time when Finrod Felagund was, or when the father of Finrod Felagund, that we will also talk about in a moment, was not called Finarfin, but he was called Finrod instead. But he was not Felagund, if that makes sense. There was also a time when Finrod Felagund was the father of Galadriel. It's a very complicated writing thing that changed a lot over time. But in the original published Lord of the Rings book, in the first edition, so to say, of Lord of the Rings, published in the Return of the King book from 1955, this line here reads in the golden house of Finrod. Then it was later changed to what was it? Finarfir or something like this. There was a different name for Finarfin. And then Christopher Tolkien changed it later due to the works of the Silmarillion and the progress his father made in his later writings and so on in Finarfin to unify it, kind of people know who is this elf. It made a lot of sense to rename him to Finarfin here. So that's a name that appears in this, and it's the golden house because they have the golden hair. And his children, which we might see on the picture as well, also have the golden hair, with one specific exception, actually, that is not part of Finarfin's house, which is very interesting. I'm not sure. I hope there's no crackling in the audio. I mean, I always have trouble with the audio here in this particular stream. I don't know why it is. Yeah, there's really a crackling again. Like, I don't know what it is. Why is this like I streamed for like, I don't know, 60 hours or something on Twitch. Not a single time this issue here. But I have these outages again here. I don't know why it is, chat. That annoys me greatly. That always I have this weird OBS problem here on this particular stream. I don't know how to fix it. That's the worst part about it, chat. Also hear it. Audio's fine for me. Sometimes I have an outage here in the audio. Like sometimes I say something and then, you know, it's gone for a moment. I just heard it myself that a word was cut out. I have some complicated questions here as well. But yeah, we have now few of these elves we have already discussed, so we can maybe spin in some answering questions here. I hope the sound cutouts are not too annoying. Definitely a problem inside OBS. I have to kind of find a way to fix it at some point, which is a bit complicated to do here on the fly now. And what else could I do to maybe fix it, chat? I don't want to use it like that. I don't know, chat. Oh, your phone is dying. I will back later. Okay. So yeah, the question, there was a dwarf question, which I always appreciate. Benno, how many different kinds of dwarfs are there? Well, there are like we have the 7 rings. You could assume that 7 houses of the dwarfs. Yeah, and then only to which can give you a good answer. He also adds the petty dwarfs, which might be something separate from these 7 houses. But it would be the Longbeards, that's Durin's house, like Thorin Oakenshield, his father, and so on. That's all the line of Durin. So the Moria dwarfs, basically. Then we have, let me just think. We have the Broad Beams. We have the, I think, Firebeards. Let me just see if I find it, because I always forget a house. Was it Blacklocks? Yeah, Blacklocks, Broadbeams, Firebeards, Iron Fists, Stiffbeards, and Stonefoots. They are the 7 houses of the dwarfs. You won't find them in Lord of the Rings. They are only mentioned, I think, in either Peoples of Middle-earth or... Let me just see, what's the source for it? Yeah, it's Peoples of Middle-earth. I think there's a chapter called of Dwarves and Men. It might be where they are mentioned. Alright, yeah, it's of Dwarves and Men. In case you wonder where that is, where that can be found. And this, we also get kind of geographical connection for these different houses. The Firebeards and Broadbeams are from the Blue Mountains, and the Iron Fists and Stiffbeards are also some in the east, and the black locks and Stonefoots are also somewhere in the east. We don't know exactly where they are living there. It's very complicated. It's also clear if all of them had kings or whatever. It's a really complicated topic that, as like Tolkien didn't write too much about this. And beyond that, the First Age there were also petty dwarfs. That's also more like a mythological dwarf figure, I think, in the more mythological first that appears there, and has certain not issues, but certain complexity, like certain functions in some of the stories. Let's put it that way. It also written a few times. There's an interesting poem that's kind of got lost about Mim, one of the petty dwarfs. So these are the different kinds, I think. Oh, Adam is also here. Nice to see you. The ginger elves. Well, we talk about the ginger elves in a moment. There was another question I wanted to answer before we continue. So I hope, Adriel, I hope this answers your question. Hi, Chris. Do we actually know what happens to elves who choose mortality when they die? And how does the process of becoming mortal work? Is it done through a part or ritual with the Valar? Well, that is complicated, I think, the mortality aspect of elves, because usually elves as beings are different from men who are mortals, like the immortal elves, because the mortal men have the gift of Eru, like they have a gift of men, and this is kind of their mortality. If the elves themselves are bound to the world, and the men are not, so when the world ends, also the elves will end, even though the world is there for a long time. It's not infinite, and the elves know that. And there's an interesting dialogue between there is one of the most, I don't know how to phrase, philosophical texts, or one of the most philosophical texts Tolkien wrote about his universe. It's a dialogue between the wise of men Andres and Finrod. It's called Athrabes Finrod a Andres, I think is the Elvish name for it. It basically means dialogue between Finrod and Andres. And in this dialogue, Finrod expresses that the elves actually live kind of in fear. Like for men, they die at some point, but they're not bound to the world. They go somewhere else and they don't know where. While the elves are bound to the world and they don't know what happens with them. Maybe they just cease to exist, and this is a thought that kind of scares them. While men, in contrast, have kind of a hope that even if the world is gone, they will still be there in some shape or form, which is a very interesting thought. Tolkien also some changes to the text, I think, and added later a big section to it. And there's a tale of Adanel to make it compatible with the, let's say, orc origin story, the new orc origin story in a way. It's a complicated topic. I don't want to dive too much into that, but it's a very interesting and complex text. And this is a huge core difference, though, where it's established the difference between men and elves. You find the text in Morgoth's Ring, if I remember correctly, and all kind of other metaphysical stuff regarding that. So when it comes, though, there are certain elves that can become mortal, and those are half-elven. And the half-elven, like Elrond or his children, his father, his mother, his father and his mother, so Elendil and Elwing. I also have a beautiful artwork of those, so we show this here off to illustrate what I'm saying a little bit better. So let's start with Elwing, because I love the artwork of either I'm blind. No, I'm not blind. Just didn't see it. should be the right one. Yeah, that should be the right one. By Kimberly80, shout out to her. That is Elwing, the mother of Elrond, and also like Elendil. You have heard about Elendil, right? Let me see. Yeah, Elendil. I have a beautiful artwork of Jenny Dolphin. Just have to find it really quick. And Elendil, Earendil. And sorry, the names sometimes confuse me. Earendil. Good that I noticed it myself. Would have been unfortunate if not. But yeah, this is Earendil. And yeah, they are the parents of Elrond. He's a mariner, as you can see. And they were basically were from a line of half-elven. Like the father, on paper, the father of Elwing was LotR, the first kind of half-elven, but he's not officially a half-elven. When did you leave? We'll come to this in a moment. Let me just finish my thought, else I lose it. So when the story goes like this, Earendil and Elwing sail to the West Continent, and mortals are not allowed to enter the West Continent with some exceptions. The hobbits later will be an exception, and Gimli. However, they were in a special state because it's not clear if they are they now elves or are they men? What was their state? Because like in the case of Earendil, the husband of Elwing that we see here, his father was Tuor, and his mother was Idril. And Tuor was a man, Idril was an elven woman, and so had a part mortality and a part immortality in him, if that makes sense. But in Elwing's case, her father was J.R.R, and the parents of J.R.R were Beren and Luthien. Beren was a man, Luthien was an elven maiden, though technically she was half elf, half Maiar, but that is a complicated addition to it. And she, as a result, is also kind of half elven, even though her father was, if you want to call it, half elven. Her mother was Nimloth. She was a full elven woman, of course, so you could argue that she maybe has a tendency to be more an elf than being counted towards men. At this time, though, at J.R.'s time, and for a long time also at Elwing's time, it was not ruled what the status of these hybrid beings is. And when Elwing and Earendil went to Aman, it was decided by the Valar that they are not counted, so the rule is not broken, as mortals yet, but they have to decide at some point if they want to be counted towards elves or if they want to be counted towards men. And with this they became the half-elven, and this choice of being half-elven only went down 3 generations, I think. Tolkien said this for whatever reason. So that means, I think 2 generations, difficult to say, but that would basically mean like Elwing and Earendil are half-elven. Their children, Elrond and Elros, are half-elven, and the children of Elros and Elrond, which would be Arwen, probably very known, but also Eladan and Elohir. Elrohir is also the twin sons of Elrond, so they had 3 children. And I think the son of Elros must be Valendil. What was this? I always forget the name. Elros. Let me just look it up really quick so I don't tell you nonsense. No. Vardamir, not Valendil. Valendil was a son of Isildur, I think. Vardamir. Let me just look up Isildur's son. Just to get my name straight again. Sometimes I also have to read it. Yeah, Valandil was the youngest son. The others, Elendur, Aratan, and Kirion were killed. Valandil was the youngest son of Isildur. Okay, so yeah, we have Vardamir was his name. And he also was most likely half-elf. There's a text in Nature of Middle-earth that kind of indicates this as well. What happens with the next, like with Tar Amandil and so on, I don't know. It's too complicated. However, yeah, the mortality part is something they can actively decide. I'm not sure if they have to, in some mental way, kind of communicate this to the Valar for this decision to manifest. But they have at some point, they have to go inside themselves and say, okay, I want to be counted towards men or elves. If they want to be counted towards elves, they get the gift of men. And then they also are on this path, which means if they die by whatever means, they will not go to the hall. They will also go to the halls of Mandos. It's a complicated topic, but after they will leave the halls of Mandos and from there go to a place no elf, nobody on Arda knows where they go. That is a secret of men, basically. I just made this term up just to be clear here. But there's a gift of men, but secret of men. Nobody knows. What it's not even. I think not even Manwë knows that is the king of the world, the king of the Valar, knows exactly what happens to men after. Only Eowyn, that is God himself, knows that. And this is kind of how it works. I think there's no ritual needed for this or so, and it's not elves can just freely decide. There's some special case, like I mentioned, the grandfather of, or the father of the grandfather of Elrond, the father of our good friend here, Tuor. Tuor became an elf. He was just a man, like he had two mortal parents, but he became so much like an elf at some point that he was also allowed to leave Middle-earth with his wife Idri, who was an elf, and he then was counted towards the elves. He basically became an elf for special reasons. There are kind of some super special exceptions. I think that's the only case I can think of. There are some other half-elves, of course, in the case of... now it becomes complicated to show you an image. I don't have... There's... Ted Naismith made artwork of Dol Amros, and there you have also, in the lines of Princes of Dol Amros, you have... Dol Amros is like a city place at the coast part of Gondor later. Let me just see, where's Ted Naismith here? Let me see if I find the Dol Amros artwork. There it is. Here it is. It's not by Kimberly 80 though, but by Ted Naismith. And yeah, it's... This place has princes, and at the beginning, so it said they have... there's an elvish strain in their line as well. They are not officially counted toward the half-elven, though, because they are kind from a different fate. This half-elven thing is basically a very specific thing to, let's say, Elrond's or Eärendil's and Elwing's family and their descendants, if that makes sense. Gigi is also here. Welcome. Nice to see you. That was a very long explanation because it's a complicated topic. Where did you first read Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit? Very late. I think what made me read Lord of the Rings was the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings films. That's when I started with Lord of the Rings, and I read it somewhere in between, so early 2000s, I would say, like let's say 2003, 2004, round about that time. I think I started reading Lord of the Rings the first time, and then later I read The Hobbit, and the Silmarillion I read maybe, I don't know, quite a bit later, 2010 or something. There was definitely some break in between until I dived deeper again into Lord of the Rings. Thank you for the wonderful answer. Awesome. Hope that answers this. Was there another question? But I want to return to the image, by the way, because we're still at the mode guessing elves. So yeah, we have now this first line we have completed, I would say. So for summarizing for people who maybe just tuned in a moment ago or something, Let me just... I also apologize for the problems. I have to find a solution for this somehow. I don't fully know how to do this so yet. I think I maybe have to redo my complete scene collection for this stream here at some point, but that's a lot of work because I've a lot of scenes that with tons of image stuff in it to switch here and navigate. So it's better to have some images, and maybe sometimes a word is missing. You will fill the gap. You are all smart people here. I hope it's not too annoying though. Although the tour story is framed in the usual, it is told in legend. Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, kind of that way. But it's all very legend. Since there was a breaking of the symmetry of Arda after the fall of the Lambs, does there exist another continent parallel to Aman? So on the east side, yes. Let me just see. Yeah, here I think we see it. This is a war sketch that I made some years ago. It's not very precise. It's just to illustrate. So it's by no means has no correctness and stuff. It's just for it's a sketch. Just so that not some very hardcore map nerds are offended by my map thing. Here's the first age variant with Beleriand in it, so it's a bit bigger. Yeah, basically, Aman at the very west side has a place called the Gates of the Door of Night, and on the other side are the Gates of Morning. So, in this west part continent. Let me see if it is still Gates of Morning. Should be the name, right? Gates of Morning, yeah. Let me just see if I find the name of it. There's a Darkland. What was it called? The uttermost east. It is called. Sometimes it has a different. What's the land in the east also called? It has uttermost east is one name. Does it have the burned land of the sun? I think. Yeah, that is the name. Or eastern land of the sun. Also, some names like this come up here and there. I hope that is what you. I knew you remembered something from your videos. Yeah, exactly. Haven't started with you at the map at night for a long time. Haven't stared with you at the map for a long time. Yeah, that's true. It comes from... This map is heavily inspired by Karen Wynne Fonstad's map from the Atlas of Middle-earth. That's where I took a lot of inspiration from this. But Tolkien made some sketches of this as well. I can link you the text here. I show you some of the Tolkien sketches. I can't show because I don't have the rights for those. Be always careful with copyrighted material. Always today make an exception with the artwork we will discuss in a moment again. They're on this page, the Tolkien Gateway. Shout outs to the guys. They have a fantastic wiki there. But there you see some of the Tolkien sketches at the side, and you see this how the world is split and so on. So it's definitely inspired by that to some degree, depending on the time. There you have the Sea of Helkar in it as well. Tolkien made some raw sketched. One is colorized, I think. The Ambarkanta map, I think as it says here, it's called. Very complicated stuff, but I hope this kind of helps you. So it is based on that. I try to give it a little bit randomness in the edges and form to be different enough from the original map. It's just like I said, my own sketch I created, I think in Photoshop some years ago. It's not very precise in any. It's just to illustrate the point. And let's return to the elf guessing game. I hope, but I guess the counterweight to Luthien should have been more immortal, but still gets more. I mean, it's also an interesting point that Arwen, at some point, her husband Aragorn dies. At some point, he of free will, like he can basically define his own point of death. He does, and then he dies. And she also lays down and lives for some time on, down on a hill, and there she dies as well. But she doesn't really directly die of old age, if that makes sense. So the mortality of these particular beings is very special in a way, and mysterious and legend-driven, if that makes sense. Working on elf guessing for myself and have just now finished it. Thank God for the 3 children and clues. Yeah. So let us come back to this guessing game here. We have Finwë in this. That is pretty clear, in my opinion. She's a Vanyar elf. That is one of these 3 big elven clans. There's 3 clans: the Vanyar, the first ones, then the Noldor, that are the crafty guys, and we have the Teleri, they are the water guys, I would say, if that makes sense. The Sindar are a subclass of the Teleri as well. And Finwë married Indis. Indis is the... Let me just look it up because I always get it wrong. Indis is the niece is the word, I think. The niece of Ingwe. Ingwe is the king of the Vanyar elves, the High King. But he's not only the High King of the Vanyar elves, the king of all elves, because they are the let's say the purest or the first elven clan, basically. They are kind of special, and king of all elves, interestingly, I think, according to the Silmarillion. However, she is related to him. She should be his niece, something like that. It's her uncle. These are the first 3 children. Fëanor, the greatest of elf. He is, though, not that is not her. As said, Fëanor is not the son of Indis, though. She is the son of Finwë and Miriel, which is Miriel is not on this image because she's dead. I think also that is the first child of Finwë and of Indis, and here we have Finarfin, and he has known as the Golden House of Finarfin. Galadriel is also from this house, spoiler, and it's also mentioned in Lord of the Rings. And he inherited the golden hair of his mother Indis, because the Vanyar are known for their golden hair, and that is also why his house is called the Golden House, as we can see with some of the people in the image as well. So let us jump to the next easy part of this here, which has one interesting detail, in my opinion. Let us start with the easiest one. Like I was asked about the ginger elf. There's one ginger elf, red-haired elf, that we find here. And this is this elf here. There are not that many elves that have red hair in Tolkien's universe, but this one definitely has. And guesses in chat, it's pretty straightforward. It's one of the very popular elves, I would say. Potentially one of the most popular is Finrod. Another hint, by the way, that I love is that this elf looks over to this elf. And this gives us a clue who this elf might be. But let's first talk about him. Ardis Aurelian is guessing, is in the guessing game very big. He says Maedhros. That is the first son of Fëanor. And he was red-haired. The reason for this might be where this red-haired, what you call the strain in this family tree comes from, is that this man, Fëanor, married a woman called Nerdanel, if I remember correctly. Father is Nerdanel had red hair because her father, Machtan, I think it's pronounced, had also red hair. He also had a beard. He had a red beard, which is also very unusual for elves. But it might be, the reason for this might be that it has to do with very early writings and so on. But I think Mahtan is not mentioned in the Silmarillion, if I'm not mistaken. He's just from some other text Tolkien wrote. No, Mahtan is mentioned there. While still in his early youth, he wedded Nerdanel, the daughter of a great smith named Mahtan, among those of the Noldor most dear to Aule, and of Mahtan he learned much of the making of things in metal and in stone. Nerdanel was firm of will but more patient than Fëanor. To be fair, being more patient than Fëanor is not a difficult task, I think. To be fair. But maybe I do Fëanor a bit injustice here. But yeah, that is where the red-brownish hair potentially comes from. Here the Nerdanel hair color is described as brown. Let me just look into the sources for that. Okay, it's from the Vineyard thing. Well, it's too difficult for me to look this particular quote up here on the, though I think I have it. Number 41. That's interesting. But yeah, it doesn't matter too much. Justice for Fëanor. Duff Dog, nice to see you. Yeah, they listed here. I think the hair color of her is not mentioned in the Silmarillion text. It's just reward. Wow. Let's not do the fighting here. 42, 41, 41, 1 to 5. No. Oh yeah, here I can quote, I found it. The following etymological note pertains to the name Rusandol in the discussion of the names Maitimo in the numbered list of names of 7 sons of Fëanor. A marginal note against that discussion provides the detail that Nerdanel, quote, herself had brown hair and a ruddy complexion, whatever that means. Then another note reads, elves did not have beards until they entered their 3rd cycle of life. Nerdanel's father was exceptional, being only early in his 2nd. So he had a beard in his 2nd. He was kind of an exception here, but he is described as red-brownish hair somewhere. It's potentially difficult to dig the exact quote out here. Red face. Okay, thank you. I don't have 4 and 5 of Vineyard Tengwa. Oh, Killswitch is here. Fëanor did nothing wrong. Killswitch comes in the room and says, yeah, Fëanor did nothing wrong. Classic. Complexion means red. Okay, thank you. Good to know. Never heard this expression, but yeah, some of these very specific expressions are not that common if you're not a native speaker, I think. Yeah, we maybe can look into Mahtan as well. I'm looking at the quotes. I should check Mahtan hair quote really quick. Could have been peoples, but I'm not sure, Shad. I'm not 100% sure where we find the Mahtan, to be honest. What book is this here? Of the Jewels. This is Mahtan. Let me see if I find it. Second note. Red glowing most often applied to things, embers, hands and red. The Elder had words for some metals because under Oromir's instruction they had devised weapons against Morgoth especially on the march, but the only ones that appear in the Eldarian language were iron, copper, gold, and silver. Earlier, Nerdanel's father, great, had been named Machtan, and he was called in the published Silmarillion. For earlier statements concerning the arming of the Eldar, okay, this doesn't help us. Book 10. Book 10 is Morgoth's Ring. It should be this book. Now we have to really dig deep into this. Craft of woman, seldom used, making things of metal. Fëanor. Wrong from whom? Desire to knowledge. In her youth, she loved to wander from the dwellings in older and besides. Great smith crafts. That will be really tough to find. That's an etymological hint that, again, is other a pass. So the reason why I'm not sure it's actually a direct reference, but let me just look up the word. But yeah, this title also, or this second name, by name, whatever you call this. Where is he? Machtan. Rusko. Rus means basically Rusko means fox, and the particle or the part of it Rus is a reference to red brown. Now there's red brown hair. It's in Peoples of Middle Earth, the names of Fëanor. Let me just look it up. Maybe it's really in Peoples and I overlooked it. Definitely possible. Red. Yeah, I think I found it. Oh, it's interesting also. The one Ross was supposed at its adaptation in the Ross to contain the Sindarin stem from Ross spray spindrift as scattered by the wind from a fountain, waterfall, or breaking waves. The other is supposed to be a color referring to red-brown hair of the first 6 and 7 sons of. Here we have another reference: the first son, the 6th son, and the 7th of Fëanor, descending to them from their maternal grandfather, father of Nerdanel, Fëanor's wife, a great craftsman devoted to the Vala of Aule. Here is a note from this book that refers to Machtan. He is not named here in this text, but this says the red brownish hair is something that the first son of Fëanor, the 6th and the 7th have in common. And also this comes from over Nerdanel, from the father of Nerdanel, that is Machtan. Well, we found it out. So it was a bit complicated to find the exact logical, quote connection, the reference in the books for this information. It's not like sometimes Tolkien doesn't write it, or it's not that clear as Tolkien writing. This is Machtan. He was a great craftsman, red brownish hair. It's not like that. Sometimes more complicated, and you have to dig quite deep to find these hints. Oh, you found it. Here's another quote for it. He usually wore a band of copper about his head. That I also read somewhere. His head was not as dark or black as was of most of the Noldor, but brown and had glints of coppery red in it from Peoples. It seems like there are multiple quotes for that. It's kind of cool. It's note 61. Should have read the beginning of note 61, because there later we have the Netherlands father Machtan information deeper in the text. But yeah, okay. There we have the statement for it. So we found this where this particular information comes from. In the Shibboleth of Fëanor. I say it wrong, right? Unfortunately, no. I always thought this is a Tolkien term, but it's not a Tolkien term. It's actually a real term. Shibboleth. That's how it's pronounced. Just looked it up. Okay, chat. So what we just learned from this text, by the way, in a side sentence, very practically, first son, seventh son, red hair. So we have the gingers in Fëanor's line. So this gives us an indicator that this is, because he looks the oldest, this is Maedhros, the first son of Fëanor. This must be then the sixth son or the seventh son, I assume, order right maybe. So this is the oldest and this is the youngest. And those, chat, are of course names I always forget, because you guessed it. But yeah, that would be Amrod and Amras. These two here. I would assume this is Amrod, this is Amras, maybe the other way around. Who knows? So we have, oh, I moved it again. That's my accident. Okay, so next son. So yeah, this indicates that these, like, if we count the people through, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a young person. So we have 8 people here, and we know Fëanor had 7 sons. So these people here must be the 7 sons of Fëanor plus 1. Easy, I think. So who's the next one? I assume the next one is the second son of Fëanor, and that would be, I guess, chat knows the order, but I think it's pretty clear from here. Also read the name Caranthir. We talk about him in a moment as well. But yeah, just waiting here for chat to catch up with my incredibly Joe, the men of the gap, Maglor. Exactly. I would agree, it is Maglor. Joe got it right. And yeah, that's most likely. What is interesting, maybe while we talk about Maedhros, we could maybe talk about this man here. Why would Maedhros look to this man here? Because this gives us a pretty clear who this here must be. By the way, just as an interesting side note, he's not from the house of Fëanor, but from the... If you look at the clothes of this man, it's blue. And we already found out this here must be Fingolfin. So this must be from the house of Fingolfin. That's my tip for you. I mean, most of you probably know by now. But Maedhros had a friend, was very good friends with somebody from the house of Fingolfin's my second tip. Maedhros was rescued from the cliff by... That's a pretty good tip. Another tip is that in the Silmarillion he also has a son, but Christopher Tolkien declared this as editorial mistake, and the son is, to my knowledge, not here on the image. I should also move my arrow again to this person here. I can't rotate the arrow very well in this program, so it's, yeah, it is like it is. Okay, nobody in chat wants to guess. That's a bit unfortunate, or probably know who that is. But yeah, that is Fingon. That is the first son of Fingolfin, and in the book, his son is, in the Silmarillion, his son is still Gil-galad, though Tolkien later changed this, that he's the son of Orodres. So yeah, we have two already here in this line, standing next to each other. Very interesting. So yeah, let's go to, I don't know, we have Caranthir. Like, somebody wrote Caranthir, Bionicle fan. Who do you think of these people is Caranthir? I think that is actually, that to find that out, that's not that easy, I think. Because now we come into a very interesting detail. The interesting detail is this man has hair for whatever reason. But he's also on the side of Feanor. And he puts his arm around this man here. And if we look closely, we see this man here puts his arm around this young elven gentleman here. I also hope my chat is scrolling correctly. I hope the sound issues are not too annoying for you people. I mean, people are already tired from writing so much. I still believe Gil-galad is the son of Fingon. He was just adopted 4 times. No, the 7th was Amras. That would be this guy here. And we know that son 1, son 6, and son 7 had red hair. So this is Maedhros, potentially Amras and Amrod, or Amrod and Amras, depending on which order the guy decided to draw here. So Caranthir was the 4th son of Feanor. Joe says the youngster must be Celebrimbor, and I would agree with you. Then I would agree that the young boy here is Celebrimbor, which is kind of strange because Celebrimbor is actually roundabout in the age of Galadriel. Oh, I spoiled Galadriel, but we discussed earlier this could be Galadriel. I mean, also this could be maybe Galadriel, who knows, then maybe it would be fitting. But yeah, we talk about ages later, I think. But yeah, it's Celebrimbor. That would make potentially the person putting his arm around his shoulder, or his arm, his father. And we know, of course, we know, of course, that the father of Celebrimbor is Curufin. So I would assume this man here is Curufin. So we have 2 sons of Feanor left. We have the blonde one, and we have this one here. And I think due to them having a different hair color, it becomes clear who they might be. I think this here is difficult because people don't know the detail about this, and I also have to look it up in a moment because I forgot where it's written. So, yeah, you have basically a 50-50 chance to guess who Caranthir is. Is it this man or is it this man? Because we know all the others by now. This is Maedhros. This is Maglor. This here is Curufin. This is Celebrimbor. This is either... These 2 here, the last 2 are Amras and Amrod. I assume this is Amrod, and I assume that... oh, didn't move the arrow. This is Amrod, this is Amros, I assume. So who is this? 50-50? We have Turgon in the chat. So I assume you mean this is Turgon. Caranthir must be the blonde. That's an interesting... It's time to build a fire. Maglor? Maglor is the one here up. That is my opinion, Maglor. I mean, in theory, this could also be Maglor, to be honest. But I assume because he stands next to Maedhros, behind all of them, that he's the second oldest, and Maglor is the second son of Fëanor. And they are also the last two surviving sons of Fëanor for a long time. Actually, Maglor might be the only surviving son, though that's a complicated topic. So Caranthir must be the blonde. Why do you think the Caranthir is the blonde? So by the way, in case people wonder which sons are left name-wise, Celigorm and Caranthir are left. Curufin is this man. Curufin is the father of Celebrimbor. So if this is Celebrimbor, then I would assume this must be Curufin, because he's putting his hand around his arm, as you see here. I give you a hint for potentially this person, why I think that is the case. Celigorm had the other name, the Fair. And in the meantime, let me just look up the quote I need for this to be talked about. It could be in The Lost Road. It's a bit difficult to find for me, this quote in particular. It's really not that easy. I don't know which book it is. Okay. I think chat is a bit stuck, maybe, in thinking why. So I think... Oh, I moved it again. My picture here on my other screen. Oh, looked it up. It was Curufin and Celigorm that attacked Luthien and Beren. Yeah, that is true. So this man has, for whatever reason, he has golden hair or blonde hair. It's unusual for the House of Fëanor that this is the case. However, in a very early version of the Silmarillion text, like in the Silmarillion itself, he's called Celegorm the Fair. I think this is Celegorm because he has blonde hair. And he's called, like, fair hair is often associated in Tolkien's universe with fair. And we can find in an early version that we find in the Lost Road and other writings, then Celegorm arose the throng. And then page 169. In QS, Quenta Silmarillion, this is followed by golden was his long hair. In the lay at this point, line 1000, Celegorm has gleaming hair. His old English name was Ecunigrim or Feigerfex, something like that. I'm not sure how it's exactly pronounced. Feyer. I'm not sure how I pronounce how the G is pronounced in this name. Something like that. Fair hair. So some of his names and phrase and titles indicate that he was very unusual in this regard, that he had fair hair, so blonde hair. And in one line of an old text that Tolkien wrote, he even is described as having long golden hair. So that is the reason, and I find this very remarkable that the author actually put in this particular detail, because he could also maybe put him with black hair, but I guess because he's called the Fair, that Celegorm had actually golden hair. So I find this a very remarkable detail in this artwork. It definitely shows that the author or the maker of this here definitely put in some research. Yeah, Celegorm and arm around Curufin kind of also indicate that they are best buddies. So yeah, Celegorm, Curufin also do they seem to hang out a lot. That leaves that by the principle of exclusion means that one is left, and that must be Caranthir. So this is Caranthir. So going through the 7 sons of Fëanor, Maedhros, Maglor, Caranthir, Curufin, Celegorm, Amrod, Amras, and this is the grandson of Fëanor, Celebrimbor, in young age. As said, Celebrimbor is potentially the age of Galadriel, I think. But it's hard to tell if he really was the age of Galadriel. Maybe, to be fair, he should be a bit younger than Galadriel, if I'm completely honest with you. They are best buddies because they are both the worst. That is not necessarily wrong. The reason why Galadriel might be a bit older, though, I think it makes sense that you make Galadriel older than Celebrimbor. The reason for that they can't be that much apart, in my opinion. Galadriel is a relatively young daughter. So I spoil already, this is Galadriel. And if you think about the thing, so this guy here, the Fëanor, the father of them, and this guy here are half brothers, Finarfin, and one of his children is Galadriel, which we might see here or here. But I would assume this is Galadriel. And as a result, there is kind of in the line of the 7 sons of Fëanor, like Galadriel should have the same age as them, kind of. Especially if you consider that Curufin is the 5th son of Fëanor, so the 3rd youngest. So that could make Celebrimbor also relatively young, but yeah, they were both born on Aman. Hard to tell. Well done, chat. Exactly. Well done, chat. You did it. So now we have a lot of elves already. Now comes the complicated part. So we have here this guy Fingon looking at his best buddy Maedhros. On this side, we know this man is Fingolfin, and this blonde, golden-haired man must be then Finarfin, who is also the father of Galadriel. And now we also have a cool indicator here. There's 2 elves where I'm not 100% sure how they are set up, and I'm curious what chat thinks about that. So first of all, we have this man here and this man here. And if we think about this of the like family tree kind of, we kind of could think that there is the connection of these elves on this line here. I mean, of course, I can't see my mouse moving. So we have these dudes here, except the boy. Is basically the same generation as the people. Like these are their uncles. They are the generation above. This is the next generation. And here on this line, I would say are the first and second borns, kind of. You could also include this elf here as a result to this particular row here in the back, if that makes sense. So this gives us already some kind of hint who this might be. So yeah, I would start with a very special thing because we have a very young elf. At least she looks very young. I assume it's a woman standing next to this man here, and she has golden hair as well. He, though, if you look at his robes, has blue robes, same as Fingolfin. So this indicates this man here, same as Fingon, also has blue robes, if you look at it, is also from the house of Fingolfin and not from the house of Finarfin. So I would assume this is Fingon, and then this would be a brother of Fingon that we have here. Exactly. Finrod, the father of Finrod, the father of Finrod, Aignor, Angrod, and Galadriel is Finarfin. Orodres is the son of Angrod. And we come to a different house. So it's the grandson of Finarfin. If you count the blonde adult men, you get a problem with it. Yeah, you definitely get a problem here. it's a bit unfortunate. So here's definitely also a part where I'm not sure who all the elves here on the picture are. But let's focus on the obvious ones. So this man, which son of Fingolfin has a blonde daughter? Or a golden-haired daughter. Is that Turgon? Exactly. Turgon. Turgon is the king of Gondolin. Let me see. Ted Naismith is, of course, providing us awesome artworks. Also an awesome artwork of Gondolin. Let's take this snowy Gondolin. I like that a lot. So yeah, Turgon is the king of Gondolin. And that's a city in the First Age in Beleriand. And he had a daughter. Gotta be Turgon with Idril. Exactly, Tyler. So Idril is the daughter of Turgon. And Turgon married a woman also like his ancestor, his grandfather, Finwë, who also married a woman from the elven clan of the Vinyar. In his case, he married also a woman from the Vanyar clan, which is Elenwe. And they had a daughter, Idril. And so, yeah, I would say this is 100% Turgon, the younger brother of Fingon. However, yeah, technically, Fingolfin also had a daughter named Findis and another daughter, Irime, but they are not they are not here on the picture, I think. Oh, Gilgaia is here. Nice to see you here. So yeah, Turgon, Idril, Fingon. Then who's this blonde man here in the middle? If you look at the robes, his clothes, they are very similar to Finarfin's robes. We know this here must be Finarfin. And so I assume this might be the first. Can't we ask the OG artist? We could do. I'm not sure if they're Japanese or Chinese. I think the text there could be Chinese as well. I'm not sure though. It could be also Japanese. I'm not sure. I think the some of the form of some of the Japanese symbols I think are related to the Chinese ones, but I have no idea. We need some Japan expert for that. Yeah, I would agree with Ares Aurelian here. The blonde one must be, I assume it's the first son of Finarfin, and that would be Finrod. Finrod Felagund. Yeah, asking would ruin the fun, exactly. And he's, of course, one of the, with Maedhros, I think, one of the most popular elves. I think at least he's very popular. He's also one of my favorite characters in the Silmarillion, to be honest. And yeah, this must be, I would assume, Galadriel's older brother, Finrod. As I would not know who else this should be. Like, he's in the line of the first sons, so he must be Finrod. Now, if we look into the line of the second sons, we have Angrod. But it's difficult to tell. So, yeah, I don't know. Now it gets complicated, though. So I already spoiled this. I assume, because here we have the line of the children of Finarfin, and we have some blonde people here, that this woman here is most likely Galadriel. Galadriel is also like the youngest daughter, I think. Yeah, Galadriel is the youngest daughter of Finarfin. So I would assume this woman here is definitely Galadriel. And she's also in the line. So we have one to exclude. That only leaves these people here. This one, this one, this one, and this one. And this little one here. I'm not sure if this is a boy or a girl. And this makes a huge difference on who this might be. So what do you think, chat? Is this a boy? Or is this a girl? And this now basically defines who the others are, in my opinion. If this is a boy or a girl. But yeah, you can of course check. You say the small one is a girl, Finduilas. Or Tyler says, and this is exactly the one point I don't have an answer for. It's either Orodres, it's a boy, or if it's a girl, it's Finduilas. That's basically the two options for it. I think, though, that it's a boy. My original guess was it's also Finduilas. But I think now it's a boy because this makes the most sense, in my opinion. Exactly. Only Truichkin says, to not break the logic of the image, it must be Orodres. This must be young Orodres. It's a bit strange, in my opinion, that he's shown that Orodres is shown so young. Because Orodres is definitely he's born in Tirion, so he could be the age of Galadriel, to be honest. But he's at least like from the perspective of what you call this, as a family tree kind of. He must be the youngest generation. And the youngest generation would be Orodres, for sure. So these adults here are all the I don't know, the first generation and second generation, third generation. So certainly he's a fourth generation then, if that makes sense. So from this logic then, this man must be the father of Orodres, if this is Orodres, from this logic here. And the father of Orodres is Angrod. So this man here would be the second son of Finarfin, Angrod. And then this man here, even though he looks a bit older in my opinion, kind of, maybe it's just my interpretation or so, would be Aignor, the other son. All of them are mentioned in the Silmarillion as well. Though, to be fair, Finduilas would also be mentioned in the Silmarillion. It could also be that they just left out Aignor. Then maybe this here would be Angrod. This here would be Orodres. And this would be Finduilas. That's another interpretation of this. But I would assume Angrod... Aignor, Angrod... Just moved the whole image instead of my arrow. And Orodres. That's, I think, the only thing that makes sense in context of this image. So that makes sense, even though Celebrimbor is not necessarily older than Orodres. Potentially, Orodres could be as old as Galadriel, to be honest. It depends on when Angrod had his child with Idalote, I think is her name. It's the name of his wife. Yeah, Tolkien moved this family tree around quite a bit, so it becomes a bit complicated in this regard. So I think Orodres was once potentially also third generation. Yeah, instead of fourth generation. So he later also has, like, during the Silmarillion, he has two children, or one child, Finduilas. He has a daughter, Orodres, later. And in some versions, or in the latest version, also Gil-galad is his son. But yeah, who knows? We can look into it. I fear a bit Orodres. Let me see if there is a mention in the Silmarillion who the father might be. So here's the line that is referenced in the Silmarillion. But Finarfin spoke softly, as was his wont, and sought to calm the Noldor, persuading them to pause and ponder, ere deeds were done that could not be undone. And Orodres, alone of his sons, spoke in like manner. Finrod was with Turgon, his friend. Also, this Turgon, his friend, shows why Finrod was next to Turgon. Like they're friends, so they're next to each other. That's kind of the order here. That's 100% Finrod. That's no question. Though in the published version of the Silmarillion and in the published unfinished tales, Orodres is a son of Finarfin and younger brother of Finrod Felagund, while Fingon is the father of Gil-galad. In later writings, J.R.R. Tolkien later writings by John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, Gil-galad was in fact Orodreth's son, but since this altered conception never touched the existing narratives, Christopher decided to not change the text, believing that it was obviously impossible to introduce it into the published Silmarillion. However, later Christopher Tolkien pointed out it would have been much better if he had left the parentage obscure in the published version of the Silmarillion. Nonetheless, Christopher Tolkien recognized that his father's last words and final intent on the subject of the parentage of Orodreth was that Orodreth was the son of Angrod. Tolkien actually did include this radical change of the parentage of Orodreth in his narratives before his death, striking out the characters' names from the list of Finarfin's children already in the later Quenta, and thus Orodreth was finally ejected entirely from the third generation of the Noldorin princes. Despite that, at the time when he worked compiling the published Silmarillion, Christopher considered the reason why his father moved Orodreth down the generation unknown to him, so he never incorporated this and associated genealogical change in the text. So that's the reason why it's in the Silmarillion like that and why people might be confusing this here. The question is he now... The question, if we consider now, because if we scroll the image down, it says the Silmarillion by John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, Finwë and his descendants. This is another hint, by the way, that I omitted from the image, that this must be definitely Finwë, because this is Finwë's line and his descendants. But it's pretty clear, I think. And it could then be that my original theory is correct, because from the Silmarillion's perspective, Orodreth is a son of Finarfin. So this could be indeed Orodreth, brother of Finrod and Angrod, and this then would be Finduilas. However, this would lead to the conclusion that another one of the Golden House of Finarfin is missing, and that would be Aegnor is missing. Aegnor, though, is mentioned in the Silmarillion. So I don't know why, that is what Witch King meant. If you count the number of elves in this image, you get a problem, kind of. And I can't really solve this. This is kind of it's a strange thing. But yeah, Angrod and Aegnor both are mentioned in the Silmarillion as well, so it's strange that Aegnor is missing. I don't know why. So I think both theories have their arguments in this particular picture, because, like I said, Orodreth in the Silmarillion version, as I think Joe, was it? Tyler? No, Joe was it. In my chart it says Orodreth's father is Finarfin. Exactly, and that is why Joe is not wrong. That is actually written in the Silmarillion. I just read you the quote. That's kind of the particular problem here. I think that we are facing in figuring out who that person is. But yeah, both is definitely possible. Like, we know Orodreth had a child. We know in a later version that Tolkien edited, I still like the idea that this is Orodreth most, simply because then we would have Aegnor and Finrod on the image as well. We have Galadriel, Finrod, Angrod, Angrod, Aegnor here in this case, Angrod, Orodreth, and Finrod here. Then we have at least all the children of Finarfin here in one image. Finduilas, I wouldn't say she has a minor role, but she has kind of a smaller role, so I could understand why she's omitted here. But yeah, I don't know. It's complicated. And now it gets even more complicated. Now we have two elves left. I would say Orodreth, mostly because Finduilas is never mentioned until Beleriand. That is true. You could argue this here is an image from maybe Tirion or so, and Finduilas was not born on Aman, she was born in Middle-earth. So there's definitely this detail that could not be Finduilas. And I would say it makes the most sense as well in the context of the image, even though it's kind of against what is written in the Silmarillion, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's, I think, what I decide. So we have 2 elves left, and these are like this woman here is clear as day. This man here, though, I have no idea who that is. Like, there's, in my opinion, 3 or 4 possibilities for him. But this will be interesting. So, okay, let's start with the easy one. I assume it's easy. Who might this woman be? She also has light bluish on her body, same as the house of Fingolfin. So I would assume she might be a woman from the house of Fingolfin. Okay, Ares Aurelian just puts out the obvious. Arizel and Eol. Yeah, he's definitely young. I don't disagree with you there. But he's not necessarily younger than Celebrimbor. Potentially not even younger than, I don't know, others. But it doesn't matter. It's hard to tell. Arizel. The guy on the far right breaks the logic of the published generation, so he has to be Argon. Yeah. So if we look into Fingolfin's line, Fingolfin had another son, and that is Argon. The problem with Argon, though, is it says the Silmarillion on top, but Argon is not in the Silmarillion. He was planned to be included. There's some lines from him you find about Argon. Let me just see. In Peoples of Middle-earth, there's you find mentions of Argon. Not to be confused with the gas, I think. Arrakano was the tallest of the brothers and the most impetuous, but his name was never changed to Sindarin form, for he perished in the first battle of Fingolfin's host with the orcs in the Battle of Lamoth. But the Sindarin form Argon was often later given as a name by Noldor and Sindar in memory of his valor. So, yeah, Arrakano or his Sindarin name would be Argon. Sindarin names this early, this was when Fingolfin arrived in Beleriand in Middle-earth, where the Sindar already lived and their language was Sindarin. At this point, the Fingolfin spoke Quenya, Noldorin Quenya, and not Sindarin, so he would not have a Sindarin name. So yeah, because he died when he arrived early on, the Sindarin name Argon should have been given to him later, but in this early time, his name would be Arrakano. So, okay. However, yeah, we notice here, this is Arizel. Arizel is the beloved sister of Turgon. It's a bit strange that she stands here not up with Turgon, because this kind of looks like she's a generation in front of Turgon or something, but it's the case here for Galadriel and the others too, though. The others here, if you look at this, the blonde people here are kind of close to each other at least. But maybe it was from the proportion of the build not possible to do this differently. So yeah, this is Arizel, I would agree. That is the daughter, the sister of Turgon, a daughter of Fingolfin. This could be Eol, that is the husband of Arizel. The problem with Eol, though, is Eol is clad also in blue. So this is fitting the house of Fingolfin. However, Eol is not from the house of Fingolfin. I think Eol is even... Isn't Eol a Sindar? Yeah, Eol is actually a Cinder elf, so he's from a completely different family tree, basically. Though to be fair, this man here, Finarfin, married a woman from the Teleri that is related to the Cinder. Iarwen is the name. I just had to think for a moment. What is the wife of this man called? But whatever. Back to her, Arizel. So if this is Arizel, it could be Eol. If Eol would not make sense to close him in the colors of the house of Fingolfin. He was not very welcomed. Let's put he got some respect at the beginning, but Turgon was not happy to see him, and also they look very happy, kind of. You know what I mean? They look happy, but Eol is a psychopath. Like, he's an absolute madman. He is crazy, and you could interpret the marriage between those two here is not a happy one, to say the least. You could argue that Eol trapped Arizel in his forest and basically forced her to marry him, and they had a child. You could definitely argue in some terrible directions here. So this more harmonic standing next to each other, I think, is very implausible. Because if you have details like this guy is blonde, the person drawing this here definitely knew the lore quite well, in my opinion. Also, the detail that these two here are also redheads, same as Maedhros and so on. Him looking over to Fingon, that's such a cool little detail in it that I can't think that, yeah, Arizel would just stand happy next to her husband, which they, by the way, tried to escape from while he was not at home. For a moment, and they just fled from him in terror. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense that this man here is Eol. I don't see it. I mean, on paper, it's possible, but I don't know. Yeah, so I would agree. Maybe she was close to her brother, Argon. So I would assume my argumentation would go, it is most likely Argon. I would agree on that. Another possibility that make no sense with the ages, though, it could be her son. It could be Maeglin, because she definitely liked her son. It could be Turgon, because, yeah, that would be possible, but it would be strange that this must be Idril, then this must be Turgon. It makes no sense. It looks like Idril is kind of hugging her father then in this context. You could argue maybe that's the husband of Idril, but that would be Tuor, and Tuor doesn't wear the. I mean, he got part of the inventory, to be honest, but Tuor had also I think blonde hair. Did he? Yeah, he had golden hair. Tuor had golden hair. So this can't be her husband or something like that. Yeah, none of the spouses besides Indis are shown. That is true as well. That's another good argument by Gil. I agree. We don't see the wives of them. The Amarie, I think, is the wife of or the lover of Finrod. She stayed though in Aman. She's, I think, also from the Vanya and was not allowed. Elenwe is the wife of Turgon. She died on the way to Middle Earth in the Helcaraxe, so there's that. If this is Aignor, his beloved one, he didn't marry. He loved a mortal woman, Andres. She's also not here on the image. Eladot, what was her name? Eladote or something. I'm not even sure where the stress in this word is, to be honest. Let me see, where do we have Turgon, Tuor? Eol, Argon. I have to check the house of Finarfin really quick, chat. Eldalote. I think that's the pronunciation. Eldalote. The O is definitely. Oh, it's It's Eldalote. Something like that. It's hard to. I don't know on the pronunciation of the name. She's also not there. That would be the mother of Orodres. Who has set eyes, chat? I can't follow. Yeah. Baby Idril, hold by husband. I mean, they were kind of, I guess, whatever. Let's not go into this direction. Chris was right. This is complicated. Yeah, this part makes it very complicated. But yeah, in my opinion, this can only be, like, if it's Maeglin is very young. Maeglin was born in Beleriand. Celebrimbor, for example, in comparison, was born on Aman, so much earlier. He's definitely older than Maeglin. Orodres was born in Aman, also older than Maeglin. Only Finduilas is also born in Beleriand, so in Middle Earth, same as Maeglin, so they could have the same age, but I'm not actually sure when Maeglin was born, to be honest. Ingolfin, Aridel. Maeglin is even younger than Finduilas. Here it states he's born first age, like years of the sun 320 to be precise. Finduilas is suggested. Finduilas, let me just check. I think it's 240 something. No, possibly 272. There's a note somewhere, I think, in some book. Yeah, Maeglin would be the youngest on this picture, so it's strange that he looks this old. But I mean, maybe the artist says, well, inspiration. We don't take times and ages that precisely on this picture. I mean, Maeglin would make kind of sense. We could argue he is included in the house of Fingolfin, and so on. Complicated. I mean, Earendil, but let's not mix the age of men into comparison to the age of elves. That's a complicated topic. Eol, I'm the worst elf. Yeah, kind of. How many in the picture never died? The number might be depressing. Well, we have Galadriel didn't die. Finarfin didn't die. now it gets Idril didn't die. That's it, I think. Yeah, Indis also didn't die. That's true. I forgot about Indis. Yeah, you're right. Indis also didn't die. Maglor is a special case. Oh man, I forgot where I wrote it down. You could argue that Maglor still lives on paper, but Tolkien had an interesting note in some book some ages ago, which I now have to remember, which will be very difficult. It's either in the letters or in Nature of Middle-earth, I think. I think it's in Nature. We tried with Nature of Middle-earth. That's my instinct leads me there. No. It's in the letter. I'm wrong. It's in the letter. I just remember, and not and for the number. Chat. I think it's in letter 131. I'm not 100% sure. That could be. It could be in the extended letter. I think it's a letter to Milton Waldman. I'm not 100% sure. Let me see if I find it. No, it's not here. That's not the letter from Milton Waldman. Which letter could it be, chat? We have to find it out. I think I made a note. I have a note document that helps me sometimes finding stuff. I have to consult it, chat. It takes a moment. He could be. There's an argument why he could be dead. Law questions. Law notes. It is in letter 131. Okay, I was right. I just didn't find the. I thought it would be in a different section of the letter. Let me read from this letter to Mr. Waldman that Tolkien wrote. And the context in 1951, by the way, so it's from the 50s, early 50s. The context of it is that Milton Waldman was of the publisher Collins, I think. And it was about publishing Lord of the Rings in the United States or something. And he wrote him a summary of the law and so on and so on and so forth. And it's about the end of the Silmarillion. And Tolkien writes here in this context, gives him a summary of the whole story, basically. The gods then move again, and great power comes out of the west, and the stronghold of the enemy, that is Thangorodrim, is destroyed. And he himself is thrust out, like Morgoth, he himself is thrust out of the world into the void, never to reappear there in incarnate form again. The remaining two Silmarils, the last two, the other one is with Eärendil. The remaining two Silmarils are regained from the Iron Crown of Morgoth, only to be lost because the two sons of Fëanor, the remaining last two sons, steal them. And here Tolkien writes about the remaining last two sons of Fëanor, which are Maedhros and Maglor. The last two sons of Fëanor, compelled by their oaths, steal them and are destroyed by them, casting themselves into the sea and the pits of the earth. So in the Silmarillion version of this, it is described how Maglor throws his Silmaril he found, he is burned by it because he's evil, became evil through the oaths and his deeds, and evil can't hold a Silmaril, so it burns his hands. And how to express, he kind of realized that everything he did was in vain. And as a result, he throws the Silmaril into the water. However, here in this text, Tolkien writes that he did not even throw them into the water. He cast himself into the sea, and Maedhros cast himself into a fiery pit of the earth. So it became, one Silmaril is with Eärendil in the sky. That's one of the important elements of the elves, of course. One in the water, another important element of the elves. One in the earth, another important element. The three elements of the world. Later, the three rings of elven rings, the three masterpieces of Celebrimbor, are also the one ring of air, one ring of fire, of the earth, fire, the fiery pit, and one ring of water. Narya, the ring of fire, Vilya, the ring of air, and Nenya, the ring of water. Maglor lives and works at the Gap. The Gap is okay. Now I also get the reference. Clothing store at the US shopping malls. Okay, good to know. No, okay. Which king also found it? It is letter 131. Yeah, I found it myself as well. Maglor is the third Dark Lord. No. We don't know exactly, but Tolkien here hints that Maglor might be dead. But you can make, of course, an argument in the direction of that Maglor is indeed still alive. It says, the legend says he's wandering the shores of Middle-earth, regretting his deeds and so on. It's kind of like almost a ghost story, something like that. Same with like Helm Hunt, who died, and you can still hear his horn in the valley of the Hornburg and so on. But yeah, Hornburg, also potential pronunciation. 4.5 didn't die, yeah, kind of. But yeah, that was kind of the guessing game for this. It's unfortunately very complicated, as you have found in the last one. Yeah, that's actually that wandering the shores forever is a great way to leave Maglor's story. I agree, Joe. But like I said, you can make an argument that this is a legend, but he actually cast himself into the water with a Silmaril and died. So technically, you could make an argument for not being alive in Middle-earth at least anymore. Who knows? Maybe in the halls of Mandos. Yeah, so yeah, this, like I said, it's not clear to me because about Argon, if this is really another son of Fingolfin, the last son that is omitted in the Silmarillion. If this is Argon, you could make the argument that there's not much information. We don't have an idea if Arizel had a very good relationship to him. That's why he is hugging her or so. Hugging him. That's hugging his arm. You know what I mean. Clinging to his arm. Oh no, no Witch King. That's not Stark. The Hammerhand was a terrible king. He did some wrong decisions for sure, but it's a cool story. That's all that counts. Fëanor was also a terrible king, but he made for good stories, kind of. And became a legend himself. Maybe not for being the wisest king, but that's not necessary to become a legend, I think. Let me just get a tea here quick so I have something to drink. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So yeah, so this guy here still remains a question mark, but personally, because he's dressed in the colors of the House of Finarfin, and he looks too old for Maeglin, I would assume it's maybe Argon. I see 16 candles. Okay, don't get the joke, but That's true. Gandalf even said one temptation in using the wand here was seeing Fëanor himself at work. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Other questions? Did we forget anything? I mean, you could make an argument that the clothes of the blonde person here look a bit different from versus the other more reddish clothes. The other, but he has like his trousers are reddish, I think. So maybe it fits. You could maybe argue that's maybe, I don't know, a different elf and not Celegorm, but who knows? Besides that, I like I said, I have no clue who this man might be. I don't think it's Eol. That makes for me the little sense in the context of this image. Aragorn would make sense, even though he's not in the Silmarillion, but he could have been in the Silmarillion easily, I think. And maybe they also like the story of Aragorn, like one of the sons dying in battle, in very heroic deeds, and so on. Maybe envisioned him having a good relationship with his sister Arizel. Who knows? Else, it could be Maeglin. It's, I think, also a possibility, though. Maeglin has a problem that he should look much younger than that. Okay, Gil. Have a good night. Sleep well. Thank you for joining us here. I think officially, there's a version of the image that has written on them, but I think it's not from the origin. But I know it's from if it's from the original. Yeah, there's like a version of the image where there are the names here, and that might not be from the author though. Might be also somebody else being interested in the lore, guessing who this might be or what seems most plausible. If that makes sense. Let me just, for purpose of showing this here, I made a version. I only have to find it now. I made a version with text things. Yeah. So this would be my personal suggestion on who these elves are. That's the version I made, but I made the images there with myself. There might be some spelling things. Oh, there's actually really a typo in it. I read Orodres. TH, right? Let me just correct this really quick. That should be fixed now. Okay. Sons are taller than their moms, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. Amrod could switch. So maybe there's an argument where you can differentiate both of them. I just put it like this. Might be something I'm overlooking here, but yeah, that would be my basically solving this guessing game for the elf. Can you do you have the Reddit link, Witch King, for the solution image you have? Can you post it on Discord? I can give you also a permission. I can post it here. I think I can do that. Maybe I can't. Bot might be asleep. Oh, you have a permission. I hope it's not set to a second or something stupid like that. We just look it up to be safe. Probably take a moment to find the link anyway. Default commands permit. Edit. It's not here, it's in the modules. Modules, link protection, preferences. That should be 120 seconds, so you have 2 minutes to post. In case you have a link, Witch King, you can, in theory, post. If you don't have a link, don't worry. Then just let it expire. It might be if you have like the link. You said you have on Reddit or wherever you found a picture with the name with also names on it. Maybe you could link it in chat. Okay, then don't worry. Yeah, I guess that would also work. Just have to be careful that the permit isn't running out. It's only like 2 or so. Not sure if I can renew it. In theory. Can just renew it, I think. Let's see how Streamlabs reacts to it. Maybe it ignores the command. No. But yeah, I have to admit, this was kind of a lot of fun figuring this out. It was an interesting thing. I think you also posted it on Discord, so maybe I could link it from there. I'm not sure if that works, to be honest. Maybe that works? It was very fun, yeah, I hope. At least the link here works for me, but I don't know. Maybe the link is broken, I'm not sure. But yeah, there's somebody put the names on the people a little bit smaller, though. Yes, Argon there, which is definitely also very plausible, in my opinion. But we figured it out. We know the lore, chat. That's awesome. And we provide the quotes for everything. I think it was pretty decent. We answered some lore questions in between. That's also nice. And yeah, we had quite a bit of content. And because the men their bodies behind, so they are kind of changed to a new form, if that makes sense, while the elves stay the same until the end of the world. You could argue that is not true immortal, but if the world would not end, they would also continue to persist, if that makes sense, indefinitely. But since also the world has an end, like, it's not the fault of the elves that the world ends sometimes, but as long as the world does not end, they will be there and they will have a body. And they also need a body to be complete. If that makes sense. So yeah, I hope people enjoyed this little piece here. I thought about what I need a picture with elves on it, and I thought, oh, that's a cool picture where Sam and Frodo watch the elves passing by. It's a reference to the book they meet Gildor on the way from the Shire to Rivendell. I have a question. Why does Celegorm have blonde hair? What does that say about Nerdanel and Finarfin? That's a good question. I mean, it could be that somewhere, like, we know that Finwë was not an unbegotten elf. Just to answer this, I know it's a joke question, but we know that Finwë is not an unbegotten. That means he has parents as well. So we don't know how Finwë's parents looked. Maybe his mother was also the milkman. It's another possibility, of course, but it could also be that there is a blonde strain, even though it's very weak in Finwë's house as well, like in Feanor's house as well. Well, that way. From Miriel, for example, she's also not unbegotten. Machtan, most likely also not an unbegotten elf. The unbegotten elves are the elves that awoke at Cuivienen, and they have no parents because they awoke when. No, the arrow is even correct. Like, that's a base in the Sea of Helkar in the First Age. They just awoke. They were the first elves created, and as a result, they have no physical parents because they just awoke suddenly. They just came to be, and yeah, that's the first generation of elves in existence. Yeah, that's also true. Miriel's hair was silver, as we learned. She had dark eyes, silver hair. It was unusual already for the Noldor, so she had potentially a strain there. In it and so on. So yeah, it's definitely possible that some of the ancestors of Celegorm had like hair, and only in him it manifested again, if that makes sense. So he could disguise himself from the one from the Golden House of Finarfin. That's kind of funny. Yeah, at the beginning I also thought she had dark hair as well, to be honest, so it might be a version of that, I'm not sure. It is because it explicitly says silver hair and dark eyes. Maybe the dark eyes became dark hair over time in my mind, who knows. That is, it's already very late for me, and we're streaming for only 2.5 hours. It's a kind of a short stream. I said I stream shorter today. I think 2.5 is not that short, considering how much stuff we discussed today. It felt like we definitely got done today. And I'm very happy that some people here showed up and contributed to all of this here in chat. If there's another question or so, we can sure answer it very quick. But I would slowly wrap it up here. And call it a day. Just have to wait because I'm streaming also at 1440p, so I use ultra low latency mode, so I have a little bit more latency with chat. Something to consider. Thanks for the stream, yeah, and man, thanks for your questions and for being active in chat and discussing this here a bit. I will be prepared more next time. I will be more prepared next time. I forgot pencil and paper. It was kind of, but it's a cool artwork, I have to admit. I like it. I like the details. I like that you can discuss it a little bit. I thought that's maybe a cool thing to do in a stream one time. We can discuss the Elvish royal family of the LotR a little bit. So, and some details and so on. I think it was pretty nice, wasn't it? A nice topic like for a stream or something. I mean, we just discussed it for 2.5 hours, if I'm honest. That's not too bad. Yeah, serious, read more artwork discussion. Yeah. Again, shoutouts to the artist. Like I said, I don't know who it is exactly. Oh, Theologist here. Hello. You just meet at the potentially end of the stream. But we basically, let me just use the not spoiler image. We discussed an artwork that I found online sometime, like Witch King user here posted it on the Discord sometime. And I thought it would be interesting to figure out, to discuss all the elves on the image and find out who they are. Most of them are relatively easy, but some of them are quite tricky. So we discussed Finwë's family tree quite a bit today. That was our topic that we had here from Silmarillion's perspective. Let me just maybe show it in full again. And thanks you for this very interesting stream, Chris. It was appreciated. Glad you liked it, RS Aurelian. Thank you also for your support and for contributing so much to the discussion. I mean, obviously, some people know the lore better than others, and so on. Sometimes difficult, or maybe it even takes a bit of courage, I guess, in a chat full of nerds knowing everything out of their head very well. But kind of it's funny guessing a little bit and seeing what people think and so on. I should call them Tolkien experts, maybe, instead of Tolkien nerds. But yeah, you know what I mean. But I think it was also, I had a lot of fun thinking about who that is. The detail of, Kiligorm the Fair is an interesting one, I think. But yeah, that kind of leads to the end. So maybe I should look for credits if I have some. Probably not prepared always. We just take these. We'll be right. I started reading the Silmarillion again yesterday. My knowledge needed refreshment. Yeah, that's sometimes really the case. There's so many names. Like today, I accidentally Erendil Elendil for whatever reason. I mean, the names are kind of similar, I guess, but yeah, sometimes it's just too much information. Simply, you can easily forget something, especially if you haven't read in a long time. We also read a bit of Silmarillion stuff today. It was pretty interesting. But yeah, maybe I fire up the credits, give a shout out again to all the people here contributing, and hope that people might like this little unusual format here for the live or for the Q&A stuff and so on. Even though I didn't answer too many different questions, at least try to answer some. That was something, and we focused a lot on this pretty cool artwork, in my opinion. I hope the title is not misleading, but Elves is, in my opinion, pretty much what we are doing today. But guessing sounds a bit too random. We kind of did very educated guesses on who might be who in that image. But yeah, it was pretty cool, in my opinion. So thank you for all the people being active here in chat. Let me now maybe roll the credits slowly, and then I call it a day because it's already quite late. So yeah, shout outs to all the supporters here that are still in chat, even though I'm not that posting that much here on this channel. I'm a bit sorry for that. I try to increase it as always, but like I said, currently I'm still pushing the gaming channel. I want to push towards 1,000 subscribers. That would unlock me some very useful functionality on YouTube on this channel, and as a result, that's something I'm still working on quite a bit. When that is achieved, I might focus a bit again more here on this channel, of course. But yeah, so I have some videos. I have at least one more smaller video planned for this channel here, a little lore thing that might come up. So yeah, it's not abandoned, even though I'm a bit inactive here. If you like video games, maybe check the games channel that I'm currently on. Did some other projects, of course, here there as well in the meantime. So there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, the popping or the word skipping that sometimes we have a cutout in the microphone, that is something I think I have to reduce scene completely that I use here for streaming. I don't have a different explanation why it always happens here, because on the other stream, like a few days ago, I streamed to 3 different services or 3 different channels, 2 Twitch channels, 1 YouTube channel at the same time at 60 FPS while running a very, let's say, modern game at 4K resolution at 60 FPS on my computer. And I had none of these cutouts in the stream. Like, it's only when I use this particular up here streaming to YouTube on my main channel I have it. It has to do something with OBS for 100%. It's not a sound hardware issue that I have here. It's simply an OBS issue. I assume maybe because the scene that I'm using here is several years old, that something in the background is kind of causing some hiccups or problems. So I have to really figure it out. I hope it was not too annoying for you people today. I'm very sorry for this ongoing issue, unfortunately. But yeah, that's potentially a little work step I need to get through at some point. to really fix. Don't believe me, it annoys me greatly that this problem is existing here. Sorry for the inconvenience. Again, shoutouts to all the people with subscriptions here on the channel, in the credits. And some of the people also having subscription you don't see in the credits because it's only at the tier 2 sub or the tier 3 thing here on my channel where you listed in the stream credits or in the video credits. So in case people are wondering, still I appreciate your support greatly and your patience with me. And of course, I will be back soonish, I hope. Like I said, there's potentially a video planned, a smaller one and a bigger one as well, that I'm very, very slowly working. And yeah, I hope I get a bit back into posting here more frequently again. But yeah, I would say thank you for watching, people. Good night. A fantastic rest of the day, or good night, whatever time you watch this here. And see you people next time. Goodbye.